Today we're looking at some pretty classical indications of water damage. This is in a basement of a house that's about 35 years old. You can see that there's water stains on the ceiling, curling wallpaper edges throughout, which is a classical sign of long-term moisture issues and water problems. Walking into the finished basement area, the main area in the back of the house, we see heavily sweating windows and again the continuation of all this curling wallpaper material. There's been a number of issues in this house, including flooding in the basement. At one point this basement floor was all carpeted. It's all been removed. The client went back with ceramic tile to prevent further damage from flooding, mold growths and the like. Something we commonly see here is you can see the sweat rings around the registers. This is all condensation from the moist air that's been permitted in the basement, condensating around the cool air that's being output by the heat registers, cooling registers. See if we can get a little more light in here. And what's happened is their contractor has opened up this area down here in the corner of the wall where it was flooded. And when they were pulling off the molding to do paneling, wood paneling in here, they noted that all this sheetrock was rotted. And there's damage to the sill plate and water long term where it's literally rotted right through. What happened is the water transmits up the cell in the capillary, and the mold tends to grow up this wall. And that's what we've determined today. We actually drilled a number of holes in the sheetrock to take a look using our scope. We use a fiber optic scope that has a light on the end of the wand that will illuminate the interior of the cell. It has a lens that's focusable, so we can literally use this tool to look right inside the wall by inserting the end of the wand into the cell and directing it through, turn the light on, and we can literally see into the wall to see what's if there's any kind of growth in there. And in point of fact, today we did find a number of growths. The worst of it is in this corner section, based on our look into here. And there's a few spots in this section of the wall, and this area of the wall has had a history of water leaks from the upstairs bathroom, and you can see there's fungal growth on the tiles, the ceiling tiles, as well as on the wall. There's water stains around this area, and actually for some reason this joist is cracking. And there's floor stains up above. These were never fixed properly, and they were never treated for mold. So our client has an extremely strong reaction to the fungus that's growing in this basement. It makes her ill within seconds of entering into the basement. So this is something we want to aggressively treat. Walking into the utility room on the back side here, in part of our exploration, we're trying to figure out what potential sources could be transmitting bad air throughout our house. This is a humidifier unit that's attached to the air handler, and really the purpose behind this is it's got a water line coming in to the unit, and it provides a mist that literally puts moisture into the air as air is drawn over it. If we get this off here, it's got a screw on it. We looked inside the unit, and the coil is very heavily coated with contaminant. It's kind of a typical storage area and basement. This is the opposite side of that corner wall that we were looking at the ceiling, and you can see there's water staining all down the wall, on the sheetrock areas. There's a mold growth right here, actually on the joist. This was all tested. This is Cladosporium that's growing here, and Penicillium, both. We continue to look through the basement, and what we're trying to find is any other sources of moisture that may be continuing to contaminate the space. We noted one space inside this utility area where a tank is at. This is water heater, pretty typical stuff. You notice we have rust on the bottom of this water heater, which is won't be very long before it's leaking. We've had moisture issues on this back wall here, where we have what appears to be an apparent growth there. And I noted that we also have some water on the floor underneath this pressure tank. And in point of fact, this carpet here is literally saturated with water. And obviously this is the prime area for mold growth. This old tank here, it's heavily corroded, and even more dangerously, probably more importantly, this electrical chase off the service panel is very heavily rusted. It's very heavily rusted, and we have mold and moisture damage all up the corner of this wall. You can see rust on this sub panel where it's actually popping the baked on finished paint off. And of course you can see rust, I think, with this picture throughout the chase. There's rust on the bottom of the electrical panel here. And there's probably rust inside the panel itself. This is bad news. This has obviously been wet for a long time. And going to need to get a plumber out here to find out what the issue is in this corner of the building. Well, that's it. We're going to have to do a remediation in this area. So this is Bob Byrne with Volunteer Mold and Indoor Air Quality, wishing you a healthy day. We'll get back to you and let you know in process what we do on the remediation. Have a good day.